Welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. We are almost at the end of December, which means 2024 is right around the corner. So that means the fifth season of Codo Cinema is coming to an end, which will also mean that Codo Cinema will also enter its sixth season pretty soon once 2024 hits. Why don't we conclude season 5 of Codo Cinema plus Codo Cinema Christmas month with a leftover Christmas movie? I wonder if there are any leftover Christmas movies to talk about. Oh wait, I think I got one on my mind. Well, this one came out last year, and I actually remember this movie coming out last year in 2022. What am I thinking of? Oh, wait a minute, I know. It would be David Harbour playing Santa Claus, who's basically becoming an action crime fighter, and it's basically a Violent Night. Yeah, that's the movie. How about the movie Violent Night? Yep, that is right. Now, for a movie that is titled Violent Night, it really speaks for itself, because obviously Violent Night is obviously a play on words of Silent Night, but Violent Night? It sounds like a violent Christmas night for Santa Claus, if you know what I'm saying. Violent Night is a 2022 American Christmas action comedy film directed by Tommy Wirkola and written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller. And it follows Santa Claus, who's being played by David Harbour, as he fights mercenaries who have taken a wealthy family hostage in their home. Not much to say, but you get it. The film also features John Leguizamo, Alex Hassel, and Beverly D'Angelo. Of course, the film came out on December 2nd, 2022 in the US, which is basically December, taking place during Christmas, so that's pretty good. The film's budget was $20 million. With the box office, it made $76.6 million and received generally positive reviews from critics. And then of course, with the film's success, there are talks of a possible sequel. Now, without further ado, I am not gonna talk about this movie alone. I got a guest with me on board, and this will basically be his third time on the show, so let me welcome back my brother Mike.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for inviting me to your episode of Codo Cinema. Hey, third time's the charm.
That's right, third time's the charm. And now we're going to talk about Violent Night.
Ho, ho, ho!
This time around, we have David Harbour as Santa Claus. What do you think?
Oh, that sounds very cool. David Harbour, from Stranger Things to Violent Night.
But he's also been in other projects too. But yes, David Harbour is definitely well known for Stranger Things and now Violent Night. Plus, I mean, he appeared in Black Widow. He also appeared in The Green Hornet. And a few other appearances as well.
The Equalizer, 2014's The Equalizer, along with 2019's Hellboy reboot.
That is true.
Playing the title character.
Now, flash forward to the Violent Night movie. Like, let me talk about about the trailer that dropped. The trailer dropped in October of last year, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, when I saw the trailer and David Harbour's first appearance as Santa Claus, I just lost it, man. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like, I think you all know, like with David Harbour as Santa Claus, who's basically drinking in the first shot of the trailer, and And of course, knowing the fact it's the title of the movie is called Violent Night, we kind of know what's gonna happen. You're kind of expecting you kind of got the idea of what's gonna happen. Even the rest of the trailer itself, like as I mentioned, the director of Violent Night was the director of Violent Night is Tommy Wirkola, but unfortunately you get David Leitch, who is very well known for being involved with the John Wick movies, and he's also producing this movie. So technically, it's got a bit of a John Wick vibe because you have Santa Claus basically taking down mercenaries at a huge house that belongs to a wealthy family, and on top of that, the trailer itself literally established itself that this is gonna be a very violent night, especially with the mercenaries taking over the house, and of course the main villain in this movie is basically being played by John Leguizamo, and on top of that, I see this movie as it was Die Hard and Home Alone and John Wick meet the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This sounds amazing.
I think it sounds amazing too. Like the trailer alone is awesome. Plus plus the rest of the movie too. It literally speaks for itself. Like this is literally like I see this as a modern day Christmas classic in my opinion. Although I wouldn't say it's a great Christmas movie. It is a solid, fun Christmas movie. I mean, I say it's safe for like in the modern and like like in 2022 standards. But of course, obviously, with the film, it's actually pretty fun.
Well, technically, it's a whole lot of fun.
Like he said. But anyway, I'm gonna dive right into the movie. Let me break down this Violent Night with Violent Night.
Let's get on the sleigh.
Yeah, let's get on the sleigh with the movie opening. Like the movie opens up at a bar in Bristol, England, where Santa Claus, being played by David Harbour, he laments to a mall Santa who sits with them having a drink. Like he's basically drinking on the job, knowing the fact that this mall Santa is talking to the real deal. And what I mean by real deal, I'm talking about the real Santa Claus. The real deal.
Yes, and of course, while sitting and drinking at the bar, you could hear the song Holly Jolly Christmas being played in the background with Burl Ives singing.
Fun fact, I graduated from Eastern Illinois University in 2022. Burl Ives went to Eastern Illinois University. I'm just throwing this out there to let you all know that Burl Ives went to Eastern Illinois University. So, EIU strong. So anyway, I think the part of this film can describe as like if Hopper from Stranger Things lost his police job and he literally gets a job at the North Pole and becomes Santa Claus. Like that's basically what you're seeing in this movie. And also the fact that basically Santa Claus is basically down on his luck. Like he loses faith in the Christmas spirits because a lot of kids began to lose their Christmas spirits and become increasingly materialistic. Like he sees the kids as little junkies. That's what he says. That's what he says. They're just little junkies. And those I'm just like, whoa.
I think he might be drinking too much.
Probably. That's probably the thing. That's probably the thing. And he just feels bad. And he even says, like, this is my last year. Because the bartender asks Santa... Oh, actually, no. Because the mall Santa asks Santa how long he's been doing the Santa thing. Although in the trailer, he says, like, David Harbour, Santa Claus, in the trailer said, I started the whole damn thing. Basically, he started the whole Santa Claus thing. But unfortunately, that was actually replaced with, this is my last year. And the mall Santa, this is obviously the mall Santa's 4th year as Santa Claus. So, basically, the real Santa Claus, who's basically drunk as hell, he leaves the bar, although he leaves a present for the bartender's grandson, and then the bartender's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You can't go up there. You go to the roof." And the mall Santa's like, "Hey, take it easy on him. It's Christmas." And and the bartender is surprised and to see that the Santa who she believes that it was a ball Santa is actually the real Santa Claus. So it's the real Santa Claus who is drinking and flying with his reindeers, and of course he throws up at the bartender.
I was eventually going to bring this up.
What?
When Santa Claus throwing up while sleighing on his sleigh ride.
Yeah.
That's very disgusting.
Yeah, basically. Oh. Yeah. Basically, Santa was drinking and flying with his reindeers. Okay, so anyway, moving forward, we go to the next day where Jason Lightstone and his estranged wife Linda and their daughter Trudy. Jason is being played by Alex Hassel, while Linda is being played by Alexis Louder, and Trudy is being played by Leah Brady. So basically, it's the family. They traveled. All three of them travel to the countryside mansion of Jason's wealthy and crude mother Gertrude, who is being played by Beverly D'Angelo, who you may remember Beverly D'Angelo from the National Lampoon movies with Chevy Chase. He's basically Clark Griswold's wife. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was not expecting Beverly D'Angelo. I almost confused her for Sarah Connor or Linda Hamilton for Terminator. She looks a little bit like Linda Hamilton for Terminator. So anyway, the family, including Gertrude, are going to celebrate Christmas at her lavish estate that has been funded by the profitable family business. They are joined by Jason's alcoholic sister, Alva, her new boyfriend and wannabe action star, Morgan Steele, and Alva's son, Bertrude. And after realizing he didn't take Trudy to the ball to see Santa, Jason implores Linda to make up with him, with Jason promising to quit his job working for Gertrude and leave it all behind. So Jason gives Trudy an early Christmas present, which is an old walkie-talkie, which he gives to Trudy to talk to Santa. So it's basically what he's saying is basically a hotline to Santa Claus. Like this walkie-talkie, he basically wrapped his old walkie-talkie and basically wraps it up and gives it to Trudy as if it was like a hotline to Santa Claus. Basically, that she could talk to Santa Claus. And knowing the fact that Santa Claus is going to be busy at night, so he may not be able to respond right away. So Trudy's going to be waiting for the response. Speaking of Santa, how's Santa Claus doing, Mike, in this movie?
Well, Santa Claus is still riding his sleigh while drunk. And he's still delivering presents to the children in different states and houses all over the world, including Washington, D.C., where
he he takes a piss on Washington, D.C. Like, literally, this scene where Santa Claus is so drunk out of his mind. He's still delivering presents like a boss, and like he goes to different houses, and what you see, remember, he says where he says about the kids, like they're just little junkies. And I also forgot to mention this part, like the greed. You know how the little kids get greedy, like they want this, they want that, they want the money. In fact, this is what we see in this sequence where Santa's delivering gifts. You notice that in the stockings, Santa Claus puts cash in the stockings, including gift cards. Even at one house, there was a wish list that says money, 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 or cash, 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 video games, and he's just like. Like, you can definitely tell he's not lying about he's not lying, to be honest. He's not lying about that. to be honest. But he still delivers gifts. Of course, he stops by this one house where under the Christmas tree are basically Amazon packages, and it's just so funny. He tosses the gift right by the packages, and of course he keeps going to different houses, and he stops by this small apartment where the front door is open, and he sees a little kid sleeping, and he smiles at the kid. He actually smiles at this kid, this little girl, and he still has some faith in children, which is still good. Which is good. Like, he still sees that there are children that still have faith in Christmas, unless he says otherwise. Because, like he said, he believes that a lot of kids are losing the Christmas spirit, and of course, but at the same time, he still sees the good in kids who still have Christmas spirit, which is very nice. And he gives this little girl who's sleeping in the bed a gift, and the dad, who's basically sleeping on the couch, passed out drunk, Santa gives him a lump of coal, and he takes the 6-pack of beer with him, and he just says, "Another frickin' Christmas." You can definitely tell Santa Claus in this movie has had enough. I will say it's a funny sequence, but you definitely gotta feel bad for this guy.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
Like, of what he has to deal with, especially in this modern day age. Like, you know. But anyway, moving forward, he stops by the other house, the house that Jason and Linda are at, the big house. And he parks on the roof, and he accidentally stepped in deer shit, and Santa accidentally stepped in deer shit, and he looks at his reindeers and was like, "All right, which one of you did that? Prancer! Prancer!" I'm pretty sure it was Prancer who did it. And he was like, "Really? You couldn't wait to..." Just like... He's just mad because his reindeers literally dropped their shit on the rooftop of the house. I mean, to be fair, you gotta go when you gotta go. But Santa's not happy yet. And he was like, "So unprofessional." But anyway, he slides down the chimney and he delivers the gifts to the house while eating a home-baked cookies, and he actually liked those cookies. He actually liked the cookies that are home-baked, minus the ones that were basically, bought from stores. But whatever. But for a moment, he decides to stay for a drink. So he was going to drink some milk, although unfortunately he found it to be skim milk. So he dumps the skim milk out and replaces it with liquor, I believe. He drinks and sits on this massage chair until a break-in happens. Well, it turns out this whole break-in is basically led by a man known as Mr. Scrooge, who's being played by John Leguizamo. And they all use Christmas code names and take the family hostage. So now of course the mercenaries are basically some of the staff members and catering service people who were basically helping out at the mansion. So most of them are basically mercenaries in this movie, and they all have code names. Like, one of them is obviously Scrooge. Mr. Scrooge. You got one of them, Gingerbread, the other one, Krampus, and then you also have Candy Cane, and then you also have Peppermint, including Sugar Plum, and Jingle. Do I need to say more?
Yeah, something's about to happen, folks.
Looks like they're about to have a violent night. Yep.
This is the Die Hard moment.
This is basically Die Hard at this point. Because basically this is like Die Hard, Home Alone, and Santa Claus meet John Wick.
That's right.
Because you also got David Leitch, who was involved with the John Wick movies, also involved with this movie too. Just to let you all know. So anyway, Mr. Scrooge, being played by John Leguizamo, leads the whole thing, and then Santa Claus, he's just basically chilling out in his massage chair, and one of the mercenaries sees Santa Claus, and he was about to fight Santa. He hits him with his gun, and what happens next is Santa Claus was just like, you don't want to do this. So he fights the guy. He literally shoots his gun. It literally frightens the reindeer as the reindeer literally fly off the roof. And Santa was like, no, 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 no way! Come back! Don't leave me here! Like, the reindeer left Santa. His reindeers left Santa. So Santa fights the guy, and he literally gets tossed out a window, and the two of them actually got thrown out of the window, with one of the mercenaries being impaled by an icicle.
Let's not forget, they used Christmas lights as a rope.
Yep.
And this kind of reminds me of Die Hard, when Bruce Willis was trying to jump off of that building from the explosion, and with the fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a bit of a connection to Die Hard.
Yeah, pretty much. And then later on, Santa fights another mercenary in the basement. Although this time the basement is just basically like, your little typical bar where you got the pool table, the bar, and you know what I'm saying, and then the target where you could get to throw darts. So he fights another mercenary, and he tries to knock him out with, he uses his sack, Santa's sack, although just to see if there are any weapons in there, like unfortunately they're just basically movies with Die Hard being name dropped.
I'm pretty sure it's video games as well.
Video games, and then obviously he uses pool balls to knock out one of the mercenaries until Santa gets the upper hand by stabbing the mercenary in the eye with a star.
Ouch!
There goes his eye. He stabbed his eye out.
That's right.
And then the guy's still standing. The henchman was still the mercenary was still standing. So what he does is basically Santa electrocutes the guy by plugging in the star and electrocuting him.
Well, that's one way to get electrified.
Yep. So Santa took the henchman's walkie-talkie and accidentally finds Trudy's channel, seeing that she is on his nice list, and decides to help save her, while also finding that all the mercenaries are on his naughty list. Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
Yep, that's right. Santa's got a list now.
Someone is on the naughty list.
Mm-hmm. So over the course of the night, Mr. Scrooge revealed that he wants to go after $300 million given to the Lightstone Company to funnel oil into Middle East, but was stolen by Gertrude and kept in the mansion's vault. And when Trudy's walkie-talkie is discovered, Jason and Linda attempt to convince the mercenaries that Trudy is simply playing make-believe. And when she refuses to go along, Jason tells her that Santa isn't real, causing her to run and hide in the attic. And John Leguizamo, I will tell you this, John Leguizamo playing Mr. Scrooge, who doesn't believe in Santa Claus. Mr. Scrooge in this movie doesn't even believe in Santa Claus. He's like, there's no such thing as Santa. Like, I'll give John Leguizamo credit. Like, he does a pretty good job playing the villain.
He does. And including voice roles too in other films.
Right, he was Sid from Ice Age.
And Bruno from Disney's Encanto.
We don't talk about Bruno. But anyway, Mr. Scrooge is like, there's no such thing as Santa. Why am I hearing Santa this? Santa Claus, Santa that. So anyway, Trudy hides in the attic, and over the walkie-talkie, Santa reveals that before he was Santa, he was a Viking warrior, giving context to his barbaric nature. He confirms to Trudy that he is real by telling her about the letters she wrote to him. And I will tell you this, that is actually a pretty good backstory. Yeah, I know it's short, but it does give a little layer to why Santa is basically being barbaric and violent in his time. Like you see what he was doing in this house. Like, he's taking out the mercenaries one by one. Like, he was a Viking at one point, and he even had a warhammer as well, which we don't see until the end of the movie, by the way. Well, anyway, Santa is being taken hostage by Scrooge. Bah, humbug.
Yeah.
Christmas humbug, huh?
Humbug!
So Scrooge wants to ruin Christmas because his father was laid off in his childhood, so he never had a good Christmas. And so what happens next? He snuck into a house to steal gifts and inadvertently caused the death of an elderly man. Scrooge and his henchmen, Gingerbread and Candy Cane, are stunned when Santa reveals his knowledge of their identities before Santa escapes through the chimney. But unfortunately, Scrooge doesn't believe this at point because he still believes that there is no Santa Claus. Candy Cane and Gingerbread were basically surprised. I was like, this dude, what if he is real Santa Claus? This guy could be real. Like Mr. Scrooge says, there's no such thing as Santa. Dude, what the hell are you talking about, Mr. Scrooge? Like, Santa Claus is literally right there.
Yeah.
Remember, have you not been visited by the three spirits? The ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, the ghost of Christmas future, Jacob Marley. Was Jacob Marley your friend? Was Jacob Marley your father?
Oh.
I don't know this movie, but it turns out Mr. Scrooge in this movie is continuing on this dark path. So, yep. But anyway, the whole chimney, Santa escaping the chimney, like he uses his nose and literally gold dust comes out. Like, he uses that to get into the chimney, but he tries to do it at first when he's trying to escape the first henchman, but unfortunately it fails because Santa was drunk. Second time around, it was able to help. He was able to do it. So anyway,
what about the third time?
Third time, what was the third time? Was that the end of the movie when he used it the third time?
I'm pretty sure he did it the third time.
There were a few other times he did it too, but I remember.
But I think the last time he did it was during the final fight.
Yeah, we'll get to that soon. But anyway, Gertrude's kill squad arrives in the mansion, but they're on Scrooge's payroll, killing Morgan in the process. So Morgan, one of the relatives, the squad's commander Thorpe opens the vault, which contains nothing. With a gun to Linda's head, Jason confesses that he stole the money and was planning to escape with Linda and Trudy, which shocks everyone but Gertrude, who learned of this from Jason's gift that she was forced to open by Scrooge's lead henchman, Krampus, but acknowledged as a part of a light stone rite of passage. So anyway, Santa retreats to a shed where he discovers a hammer, inspired by his hammer because he was a Viking warrior. Sounds like a God of War type of thing. Inspired, he brutally slaughters the kill squad before rushing to save Trudy. He takes out the kill squad. He takes out the kill squad with his hammer. He even takes out some of them with ice skates. He even uses a candy cane that he had. He took the candy cane from the mansion. He uses it. He licks it just to make it look like it was a sharp knife, and stabs one of the mercenaries.
Ouch.
And then, of course, he uses one of the mercenaries' grenades as a piece of coal, and he stucks it inside, and he's like, I gotta watch. So he could watch the mercenary blow up. So that's what coal does. So anyway, upstairs in the attic, Trudy creates traps inspired by Home Alone, although imagine Home Alone if it was R-rated.
Oh boy, here we go.
Because Violent Night's rated R. Home Alone's PG, But those traps just took it all the way up to R-rated territory, and this leads to Gingerbread being killed by a bowling ball driving a nail into his head because Gingerbread was going up the ladder. He notices a nail on the ladder. He's like, "Don't you think I see the traps. They should have been hidden." So he tries to go up to the ladder, but unfortunately, Trudy was a lot smarter than that because she was able to cut the ladder up a little bit, and he falls and gets stabbed in the mouth with the nail, and then he gets off of it, and he gets his back stabbed by a bunch of other nails.
Ouch!
And then of course he gets hit in the head with a bowling ball, but unfortunately, what comes next is the nail. He holds his nail in this nail in his hand. He's looking at it, and when the bowling ball was coming down, it literally hits his hand with the nail, and literally hammers it to his head, like a nail to the head.
Yeah.
This is why you don't look at nails, folks. So anyway, Candy Cane gets, oh man, she escapes the traps. But she gets tortured by those traps. Like, she get hit multiple times with bowling balls. She gets stuck in glue. She steps on broken shards of ornaments and Christmas lights, and a few other items too, until Santa Claus comes into town and slams her with his hammer.
And pretty sure she's dead.
Yes.
And good thing there's no blowtorch.
That would have been crazy. So anyway, the family is taken outside by Scrooge and Commander Thorpe. Jason surrenders the money, but Scrooge intends to kill the family anyway. Santa arrives, forcing Scrooge, Commander Thorpe, and the remaining soldiers to flee. And of course, Jason and his wife Linda, they fight this one guy. But here's the thing: Jason gets tossed to the side, literally. Like, Jason's basically a wimp in this movie. Like, yeah, he does throw in some punches, but he literally gets thrown out of the fight so fast. But unfortunately, Linda literally stabs the guy with an icicle in the neck.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then later on, Santa goes after Scrooge, and they ended up at this old abandoned house, or this old abandoned cabin in the woods, where Scrooge finding the list, acknowledges Santa is real.
About to be that time, folks.
Yep, and Scrooge is like, "I can't believe you're real." And Santa's like, "I've been trying to tell you all along." Yeah.
It's not your night, pal.
It's not his damn night. Yeah, that's what Santa says. It's not your night, pal. But here's the thing: do you think Scrooge will basically realize this and then comes to realize what he's doing is wrong? Will he be like the Scrooge from Christmas Carol, decides to change? Nope. Scrooge decides to fight Santa Claus.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Christmas dies tonight.
Like, Santa and Mr. Scrooge fights, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Can you imagine Mr. Scrooge and Santa Claus fighting each other? Bah, humbug. Ho, ho, ho. A fight between Santa Claus and Mr. Scrooge. Who would have thought that would happen? So anyway, at one point, Santa and Scrooge do fight. They fight pretty well until the two end up outside after the cabin explodes from that
motor vehicle.
From that snowmobile. So, Santa and Scrooge fight, and it seems as though Scrooge has the upper hand.
Yeah, because they were on ice.
Yes, they were obviously on ice. But unfortunately, like when Scrooge literally has Santa pinned by this chimney outside, he's about to kill Santa Claus with his knife.
The last Christmas. And you can also hear the music in the background.
I actually like the music too. It does give that little Christmassy vibe to it, but also like a final, like a little like a final battle, like a final battle type feel where like Santa Claus is about to meet his demise by Mr. Scrooge. But unfortunately, like I said, unfortunately, Santa Claus has a trick up his sleeve, or up the chimney, I should say. Because here's what Santa says to Scrooge after Scrooge says, "Christmas dies tonight." Santa says, "Not if you still believe." So what he does is he uses his magic, presses on his nose to blow out gold dust, and he sends not only himself but Mr. Scrooge up the chimney. And I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating right here.
No!
And I'm not exaggerating right here. Like, Santa Claus takes Mr. Scrooge up the chimney. He crushes the humbug in the chimney, and comes out of the top like a geyser, spewing out blood. And what we see is basically the upper body of Mr. Scrooge and his head crushed inside. And Santa basically drops him from the chimney, saying, "Ho, ho, ho, ho!" He defeats Mr. Scrooge, the humbug itself.
I will say, that was very brutal. Well, when Mr. Scrooge saw that Santa was using magic to bring up the chimney, he was like, "No!" And then up the chimney they go.
Because here's the thing. At that very point, he actually believed in Santa Claus after realizing he saw his list. And it's just... he got karma right there.
Yeah.
He got karma right there.
And
with a terrible price. Scrooge got crushed. He was squashed up that chimney. He was squashed inside that chimney by Santa Claus. Santa Claus just kicked his ass.
You just been Scrooged.
Yes, Mr. Scrooge has been Scrooged. So basically, Santa wins the fight, but unfortunately, Commander Thorpe shoots Santa, but Commander Thorpe gets killed by Gertrude. And unfortunately for Santa, Santa succumbs to his wounds. So Trudy and the family were able to help Santa. They basically began to believe in Santa and burned the $500,000 in paper money to keep Santa's body warm. Eventually, Santa is revived, stunning the family and Santa himself. And the reindeer return, and Santa bids goodbye to Trudy before flying off to finish delivering gifts with his inspiration and love for Christmas renewed. And I also love the part when the reindeer comes back. Santa is mad. He is mad as hell at the reindeers. Like, "You guys, oh my goodness, why the hell did you guys leave me behind? Prancer, Vixen, huh?" And then he looks at the sleigh. He sees another bag of gifts, and this basically from Mrs. Claus. And Santa's like, "Oh, I can't stay mad at you guys forever."
And there was also a note. The note says, "Don't you need this?"
From Mrs. Claus. And Mrs. Claus was mentioned from Santa during a conversation between Trudy and Santa. And I do love the moment where Trudy almost like says like, "You're gonna kick these mercenaries' ass." And then Santa's like, hey, watch the language. Doesn't want to put Trudy on the naughty list.
Oh boy.
Don't worry, folks. Trudy's on the nice list. But anyway, yeah, Mrs. Claus was definitely mentioned a couple of times, and it's because he also thinks of Mrs. Claus too in this movie, because he thinks of her too. And of course, at the end of the movie, he gets a bag of gifts that he was going to deliver to the children from Mrs. Claus. So basically, it was like an extra.
Yeah.
An extra bag. Huh. I wonder who's gonna play Mrs. Claus if there's ever a sequel.
Well, rumor has it in the sequel, the actor expressed interest in seeing Charlize Theron in the role,
That could be something.
with potential for Mrs. Claus.
Or maybe Winona Ryder if you want to do a Stranger Things connection.
Oh,
But we don't know that yet. I mean, the sequel is still in development. But anyway, that's basically it. That is Violent Night. And I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, this is a crazy, fun Christmas movie.
a violent, fun Christmas movie.
I mean, I will say this. Sure, it's not Die Hard. It's not Home Alone. But it's literally a movie on its own. It's still a fun movie. Yeah, sure, it borrows elements from Die Hard, Home Alone, and then, of course, a little bit of that John Wick style to it. But I still see this as a fun movie. The action sequences are pretty cool, too, especially when Santa fights the mercenaries, especially the final fight. I actually love the final fight. But the story itself can be a little cheesy at times. Obviously, it's your typical, It's like Die Hard a little bit, but with Santa Claus coming to town and fighting the mercenaries.
Yeah.
I think the story itself was fine. I think the writers were basically having fun with the idea, and I could definitely see it. The movie speaks for itself.
Yes. David Harbour did a fantastic job playing the title character Santa Claus.
He sure did.
David Harbour is officially on the nice list.
For Santa Claus.
And also, the other cast members did a very good job, including John Leguizamo for playing Scrooge.
John Leguizamo did a pretty good job playing the villain, Scrooge. And then I know the supporting cast members, aside from the little girl, Trudy, who was very cute and all, the rest of the cast members, I didn't really care for the other characters as much. Aside from the little girl, Trudy, which I think she did fine. And then maybe Beverly D'Angelo as Gertrude, I thought she did fine too. But the rest of the characters, not so much. I mean, obviously you're in it for the fun. But also, I feel like David Harbour and John Leguizamo were basically the heavy hitters of this movie.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, Mark. David Harbour, John Leguizamo, two biggest actors come together for Violent Night.
They both did a pretty good job. I mean, like I said, I didn't really care much about the supporting characters. Aside from Beverly D'Angelo and the little girl Trudy, I say the rest of the characters weren't as memorable to say, but it still works. The movie still works, and then the story itself is ridiculous and all. But it's still fun. You can definitely tell the writers were having a lot of fun with the story idea. And then, the music itself is pretty good, too. I like the Christmas vibe to this whole movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's definitely got that jolly feel to it. Especially at times during the action sequences where it does go a little bit into darker territory. While also having fun as well.
Yeah.
The music was done by, Dominic Lewis. Yeah, the music for this movie was done by Dominic Lewis.
He did a very good job composing it.
Yeah, he did.
This film is a whole lot of fun.
I agree. Plus, if the sequel comes in, we'll definitely have another fun. We'll definitely have another fun adventure with Santa Claus for Violent Night.
Yes.
But anyway, that would be a wrap on this episode. So anyway, that is basically it.
Yes, this is it. And Mark, thank you so much for inviting me back onto your episode. And I gotta say, it's been one heck of a ride for season 5.
For those of you who are listening, for those of you who are listening, what did you guys think of Violent Night? Did you like the movie? Did you thought the movie was fun? Did you not like the movie? I would like to hear your thoughts. But anyway, this concludes Codo Cinema Christmas month, but it also concludes season 5 of Codo Cinema. So anyway, for those of you who are listening, I hope you all had fun listening to my 5th season of Codo Cinema. Plus also to ask, I hope you also had a good time listening to my 5th season as well. It has been it has been a fun 5 seasons doing this show, and I'm very happy of of how far I've come to do this show. I know there were times I took I know at times I took breaks within the fifth season. I mean, I know that it's been a lot going on, but I'm very glad I was able to keep moving forward with this podcast, plus this 5th season as well. I also want to give a shout out to obviously Mike for appearing on this episode. I also want to give a shout out to Christian Taylor, Joe Kennedy, Stevie McDunn for appearing on my show during this 5th season. Somewhere down the line, I am planning to invite more people on board this show. So obviously that will be something for season 6. So anyway, I hope you all got a good chuckle out. I hope you all got a good chuckle, a good relaxation from the hard work, especially when it comes to when it comes to working. Plus, also, a little bit of fun while listening to my thoughts of what I think about the movies that I've seen, especially those that have recently been coming out. So anyway, just to leave you off, I'm just gonna leave you off with that. Have yourself a Merry Christmas, or should I say, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Have a happy holidays. Have a happy New Year. Thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman.
And I'm Mike Codo.
Remember to watch movies, stay positive, and Codo Cinema will return in 2024.